Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining for this special episode of a session that was recorded actually on December 5th. And then we did a reaction recording the very next day because Sherry, the amazing Overprotected, who did the session, is a somnambulist and doesn't remember any of her sessions. So I thought it would be cool to do a reaction video. But because there was a lot of audio issues and I had to turn things up and down, it was a really tedious process. So it's actually taken me almost 2 weeks to get this video up. So I apologize. But I also wanted to let you know that we discuss drones. And at the time that that we did the session, the drones weren't all of the regular sort of drones that you see now with propellers and things like that. So this video is going to be talking about the drones before all of these sort of regular ones. I think a lot of people are filming like police drones and other drones, and it's sort of kind of muddying the waters, I think on purpose, because the drones that we're discussing have advanced technology. They don't put off a heat signature and they move abnormally. This video, we're actually going to talk way more than about the drones. Of course, there's always things that come through these sessions, a lot of synchronistic things that were just for Sherry. And also I asked about, Yahweh and Jesus and JFK and so many different things, UFOs and aliens. And like I said, what's going on in the skies lately, what that's all about. So this is going to be like almost 2 hours long. And so if you want to see just the drone information, you can watch the other video that I'm uploading that's more specific to just the drone stuff, because some people haven't even heard about it and don't even know what's going on. So without further ado, let's get right into this reaction video of Sherry's very cool session. And this is like just a little taste of what these sessions are like. You just really never know what's going to come through, and it's really cool just to watch it all play out. And of course, Sherry doesn't know what she's saying. So, a disclaimer that, take this for entertainment purposes only or for your own information purposes. And we're not offering any kind of advice or anything like that, just information. So yeah, here it is.
The pinnacle of human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence, you guys. Let me unmute you. What's up, Sherry?
Hey.
Okay, so we got a special episode. This is going to be us actually a live reaction video of us reviewing Sherry's session from yesterday, because it's all brand new to her. Oh, look, 1, 2, 3. I didn't notice it was an hour and 23 minutes long. It's interesting. Okay, so let's just start it and let's see what's going on. We'll pause and talk about different things, and we'll just get your reaction to some of the information, because some of it I don't even think you know about. So we'll talk about all of that, because I did a video recently about Cliff High and the predictions he had about the melee thing and stuff happening in the sky. And then we've been having these drones and stuff in the sky over military bases and UFO sightings and things like that. So I wanted to ask about some of that stuff. And I don't know how much you've even...
None. I didn't know anything about it. I've been watching Gypsy Rose.
So that's the funny thing about it. It's like you're completely unaware of this, but yet you have the information. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really strange not knowing what you're gonna say though, and like you're like, I said that, like, I don't know, but anyway, carry on.
I don't know if it's something you want to share, but would you like to share that story, the phone call you made for Devin? Is that too private, or can you share that synchronicity that happened with your husband and Devin and the phone call? Can you tell that story? Because I think it's going to tie in with this first little bit here, so to help it make a little more sense.
Okay, well, there's so much, there's a lot to the story, because there's an old rock star named Ronnie James Dio, and a lot goes back with him. When I was in nursing school, I was waiting tables and I waited on him, and he stood up and he was like, he was all excited. He said, "You're shaking. I know you're that excited to see me or whatever." And I was like, "No, I'm not scared of you." because my husband would put a pillow on his bed of this guy, and he was the biggest fan of him. And I like would throw the pillow in the closet because when you hold Dio up to the mirror, it spells devil. So there we are at the restaurant, and I told him that my fiance or whatever was his biggest fan, and he was like, "Okay, look, I'm gonna go to his house," but he was going a different direction, so he wanted to call him. So whenever we get on the phone, I said to Jude, "What?" I said, "Guess who I'm talking to?" And he said, "Janie Lane." Interestingly, I've on my Janie Lane shirt. That's weird. Okay, but anyway, and I said no, and I handed, because that's my favorite rock star. So I hand the phone to him, and he's like, he finds out who it is, and then we get back. He talks to his biggest rock star, that he worships or whatever. I
For
get
people
back
who
on.
don't know who Ronnie James Dio is, he was didn't he
He's
sing
the
with a few
lead.
different people, or was he?
Yes, he sang with a band in the old days called Rainbow and Elf, and then he was the lead singer for Black Sabbath for a while, him and Ozzy, and then he went out on his own as Dio,
Dio,
Ron
okay.
James Dio,
He had some
and
hit songs as Dio as well, right?
oh yeah, oh a lot, yeah,
Right, right.
yeah,
Okay, I thought so.
and so anyway, when Jude gets
So
back on
he's
the
all
phone,
into the devil stuff. Just so you guys know, he's like that's why she was so scared of him, because she like kind of bought into the whole,
yeah.
80s rocking, devil worshiping rock and roll
Right.
band
I was
kind of
into like the glam rock stuff, the fun stuff. And Jude was into the hardcore stuff.
the
But anyway,
darker stuff.
so
Right, right.
anyway, and so he gets back on the phone with me, and he's like, "This is a sign. We're supposed to get married." And I'm like, "Oh Lord." Anyway, so he's been like kind of around and everything, and he had passed away. And then I started realizing what a good guy he was. I started listening to his music more, seeing how great it was and all this stuff. But anyway, so the thing is, Devin wanting to get a new phone, and I get on the phone with this guy, and I'm telling him, yeah, Devin, he's like Tasmanian devil. He comes into town and messes stuff up, and then zooms back out. And right now, he wants to get a new phone right now. That's just how he is. And I was kind of complaining about him a lot. And then I said, no, he's really a sweetheart. He taught himself to play guitar, keyboard, drums, everything. And then I said, you know what's funny? He used to when he was like 3, tuck his arm in his shirt and play Def Leppard songs on his drums. And I said, it's funny because I recorded him and I took it when I met Def Leppard, and I was like, guess what I have for y'all? My son would play with his shirt, his arm tucked in his shirt, and they're like, all our kids do that. And I was like,
Just
well,
so
this is
for the
awkward.
people that don't know, the drummer of Def Leppard is famous for playing drums without one of his arms. He on the
Yeah,
first
he
album
lost.
he had his arm, and then he lost it in between albums, and then he came back, retaught himself, and now he actually helps create instruments for handicapped kids so that they can do what he
Right.
did, and it's just
Yeah.
so that's pretty
Any
cool
kind of
how he took
any kind of
tragedy and
instrument.
turned it into something where he's helping other people.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So
And like
anyway, so he tucked his arm in, and he's like, so
yeah, and so I was just telling this guy about it randomly because I felt like a bad mom because I was complaining about Devin. And he just says, "Oh, can I tell you a rock and roll story?" This is the AT&T guy. And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And he said, "Well, I had this ex-girlfriend. She was a small little redheaded girl." And he said, "One day I was at her house and I was looking through her pictures and I see a picture of her on this old rock star's lap." And I was like, "What?" And then he said that she had dated him for like 3 months,
and it
before
was
they
Ronnie
got
James
together.
Dio, right?
And yeah, and I said, "Who was it?" And he's like, "Ronnie James Dio." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think my husband is telling me hi from beyond." Because who talks to the AT&T guy about Ronnie James Dio? Like, for it to come up was crazy, you
Yeah.
know? Then I wanted to record it to prove it to people. So I went back in my room with the iPad and I turned it on and I was talking to him to get the information. And I noticed that there was this really neat snow globe that looks like a wedding cake that my husband bought me at Disney World, and it had been kind of missing. It was at one of my kids' house or something, and she gave it back to me, but it was in the car. Well, I went and get it out one day finally because I'm like, I need to get that out of there. And then I realized it was me and Jude's anniversary. So the point is that I'd filmed this whole AT&T conversation and my camera, because I was just trying to record it, but it was pointing at that snow globe, like center of the video. I just knew it was Jude, talking to us or whatever.
Right.
And it even goes on, but I'll stop with this movie called Tenacious D, and we had all kind of miracles with that, me and Darby. I know that Jude was communicating to us that night.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Anyway, and I love Ronnie James Dio now, and he had said stuff to me on stage, and like he said, this song goes out to my best friend Sherry. Then gave us backstage passes so my husband could finally meet his favorite rock star. So there was this big history there. So it happening was so weird. Out of all the rock stars and famous people in the world, the guys like my girlfriend was sitting on Ronnie James Dio's lap. Crazy.
One of the craziest synchronicities I have involves you and my buddy. You guys might know him as Caleb in the chat years ago.
Yeah.
You both sent me a Ronnie James Dio song that I'd never heard on the same day.
On the same day.
I'm like, are they
That
colluding?
was weird.
What's going on?
That's weird. But Ronnie James Dio is a great guy. He explained to me that all of the, I'm bad with my words today. Like all of the aesthetics or whatever that were rock and roll back then, it was really like a gimmick. And he said, I never have been like a Satan worshiper. I don't want you to be afraid of me. I really think that, and the reason I sing the things that I do is basically to teach that there's a good way and there's a bad way, and you're just going to do better following the good way. That's what all my songs are about. And he ended up coming to be, I really, really admire him now.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's playing their roles. I mean, he reached people that I couldn't reach for sure, so.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he always would sign his stuff Magic Ronnie James Dio.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, let's get right into it here.
Okay. There was a reason we told that story. Huh?
The very first impressions that you have as you begin to don't slip off into anything right now.
No.
Stay with me.
I was seeing where it was at. I see Ronnie. He's leaving, and I say, "Tell Jude I said hi." And he says, "Magic."
Magic. Very cool. Say it again.
I don't know who this man is.
Let's ask. Who are you?
Wait, I didn't get to talk to Ronnie a long time.
Rude to him.
It's okay. What does he look like?
Hi. Actually, I have questions. A question for you.
All right.
It is Jerry Hicks. And he's telling me that what I'm doing is similar to what Esther does. But that it's very similar. And so what I want to ask him, he already knows because it was telepathic, that I want to know why when I went up on that stage, she didn't know what out-of-body experience was.
Right.
Good for me.
Seriously. Okay. You don't normally ever do this. This must be like a dying question, like one of those burning questions for you to to preempt the session like this. So just so you know, you don't ever say, I want to know something. Normally, it's like you're not there and you're just communicating and you're sort of the go-between. But this time, it's almost like you interrupt it. You actually do that a lot, like, in real life when you're awake, right? You'll like chime in and stuff a lot, but you never do it in the session. So anyway, okay, so so the people understand. Okay, you saw Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks once
in 2012.
And it was after Jerry had passed away. Jerry Hicks had passed away. That's her husband, not Dark Wolf. He's still with us.
And I got called up on stage, and we went through this whole thing because I was just learning all kind of stuff about spirituality and stuff, and I'd learned about reincarnation, and I was telling her, look, I love my kids, and I can't imagine being without them in any other life or anything like that. This is just disturbing or whatever. And she tells me something and told me I would not understand it until later. But she said, you don't take a little girl and tell her when you grow up, you're not going to have any of these toys in your room anymore. In fact, you're not going to even have your bedroom. You won't even live here. And she said, and and I thought she was like talking about my kids. And like later when I listened to it, it was like, she was talking about me. Like she said, and when the time comes, it'll be like the next natural step, and you won't question it or anything, because you'll be right there in a place ready to move on to a different life or whatever. And I was just like, but she wasn't really saying all that right then, because I did not get it. But then I said, I have something to tell Esther, that since Jerry died, my nephew has told me that about like out of body experiences. And I think that Esther could use that to go visit Jerry. And she acted like, well, Abraham acted like they didn't know what it was. And they were like, tell us more and all this. And I was like, well, if you're infinite intelligence, shouldn't you already know that? And it bothered me for the last 20 years. No, wait, how long is it? 12 years.
Right.
Because it's like anyway. Wait, let me hear the answer. Turn that back on.
All right, here we go.
He said that she was in her shmee dizzle mode.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Explain all that. Huh?
Go ahead. You're better at it.
Okay, so when I talk to Sherry's higher self, it presents as different levels of Sherry's higher self. And the way they explain it is like when you enter a session, you enter in at a certain frequency, and then that's the frequency for that session. So they've come up with names at different points for Sherry's different higher selves. Okay, and the name for one of the higher selves is Shmi. Like Sherry's higher me, right? Shmi.
That's so weird. Oh, it is like my name, kind of. Yeah. Wow.
So a subsequent time that we connected in, it was Shmi Dizzle. It's funny sounding, I know, and it's some higher aspect of herself came up with Shmi Dizzle, right? So, and this last time,
let me say this real quick.
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy, but just for fun, I went on a free AI site and I asked to show me a picture of Shmi, and I was like, because there's a little part of me that's like, is this something demonic? And I just want to show y'all how beautiful the picture was that came out.
Oh, wow.
It just kind of meant a lot to me because, there's a fear there. Like, I didn't want it to come out as some big old demon. All right, go ahead.
Very cool. I'm glad you shared that. That's awesome. Okay, so this last time, I think you're going to see that leading into this. We're going to actually discuss where she was connected at this last time. But basically, you can have different connections, and I guess the higher you are, the less your lower self is filtering it. So the better or more pure the information, or less colored it is, if you will. So yeah, that's the whole shmee dizzle, and
Shmee dizzle. I would never say something like that.
I know
That,
I know.
that's what proves some of this to me, because I'm like, I don't even listen to rap music.
Okay, so here we go.
She didn't know what out of body experience was.
Right. Good question. What does Jerry
Why?
say?
He's, he said that she was in her shmee dizzle mode.
She was in shmee dizzle mode. That's funny.
So she was just a little bit lower than where she
So what
usually.
mode are you
Because she
in?
was
So she didn't have as much
having a lot
access.
of grief over his loss and
Oh.
wasn't.
That's crazy.
Oh, her frequency had dropped and she didn't have a good connection. Yeah. So you're doing the hands, showing different levels.
Now I feel bad.
Oh,
Oh no, he said don't feel bad. That's what he wanted to tell me.
Oh, very good.
Needed.
Can we ask why if she did support the? Oop, might have to cut that. Why?
That's because she goes in and out of
Shmee dizzle.
Higher aspect connection, and one that's a little bit lower that sometimes mixes in with the person's own thoughts and beliefs.
Wow, that's cool.
And then these
really?
These things
Explains
will come out like that aren't quite all the way accurate or whatever. I get it now.
There's a blending or a mixture. It's never pure.
Yeah.
This is what Shmee Dizzle was actually talking about last time when he said you're 28%.
8%, 28%.
Yep, you're right. So can we talk a little bit more about that? Who Shmee is and who Shmee Dizzle is, and in relationship to who Sherry is and her higher self? And is this just aspects of her higher self?
Yeah, as you move up, you can run into like different things, but there's some that's like more strong and prevalent, like Shmee Dizzle is here and then Shmee is here.
Who are we?
So right now, Shmee Dizzle, Shmee, me.
I couldn't really. And who is me?
That is a part of me that's talking to you. That is a blended thing.
A thing.
So it would be in between Shmee Dizzle and Shmee, or below Shmee Dizzle?
Yeah, and if you want that to have a name, you can call it a name. It doesn't have a label.
So what is the process with connecting in with Shmee Dizzle versus Shmee versus just a higher version, the unnamed symbol?
How deep? Yeah, like Prince. How deep is in a.
That's because I said a symbol, but I don't remember myself saying
how
a symbol.
Deep it is.
I mean, I remember myself connect it with your vibes. Like if your higher vibration going into it, you're going to connect deeper.
Yeah, and if somebody isn't like all into it, sometimes they'll do that. You still get a lot of valid information. But sometimes they might not know something like out of body with Esther.
Right.
But later on, she found out, and when she was connected at a different point. But it like attaches on like a magnet and stays there through a reading.
I got you. It's kind of like you plug in wherever you're at, and that's kind of where you're at for that session.
Yeah.
I love when I hear me speak all confidently.
Yeah.
I got you. So would you say you're, once again, are you connecting in lower than Shmi Dizzle, or was it above Shmi Dizzle? Because I couldn't see your hands.
It's above.
Okay, but not quite at the
So,
level of Shmi, right?
Shmi Dizzle. Right now. Shmi. Just like a couple steps away.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sending her love to us.
Okay, very good.
She's like a god.
Yeah, of course. So I had a question about when people die and they leave the earth. And we have like interaction. So like my mom died, she left, she comes through to me a lot, but is there a way I know my mom that's deeper than her just being my mom? Like I know her like without the mom outfit on, like when I die, I'm going to really know who my mom is. And she just puts the outfit on to talk to me now because that's how I know her within this realm. Am I kind of on the right
Yes.
track with that?
Yes. Like,
Okay.
but, like, whoever she's communicating with, she'll be like what they expect her to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Because she will never, ever, ever she will never, ever not be your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she was a man in the past or something, she'll always be your mother
Mm-hmm.
when she's talking with you. And a lot of times people will spend a lot of time as the character they were when they passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that for quite some time, and then they'll kind of play and go as different things and stuff as they learn the things they can do.
Mm-hmm. But they can
But
periodically put back on the mom outfit and come and.
yes, and then never ever forget anything. When you're on that side, they have the knowledge and the memories of like many, many lifetimes after a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first they have an adjustment period.
So that kind of gets me back to what my question was about this construct we find ourselves in, and when we pass away, we're still kind of in the illusionary place, right? Like it's all still connected, but our really higher self that isn't wearing the outfit of, say, my mom, is that person or that entity or that energy outside of the construct, or is that still part of the construct, the matrix?
It's all it all works together for the perfect plan because it makes the entity that's passed away be comfortable because they can still be at their house, but it's in a different realm.
Mm-hmm.
And they can even come here and they're just phased out a little bit of it.
Right.
But they have their place there or even a new place that they've chosen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's pause it for a second there. 12. All right. Oh, wait, are you muted?
Sorry. Yeah, that's really cool.
Okay, so that was kind of my question, right? We have this whole other game. The game isn't over even within the game. You know what I mean? There's the afterlife game that we play. And we probably play that as long as we need to. We can probably watch 3 or 4 generations worth until new grandmas and grandpas and because eventually everybody ends up being like, you're going to end up being some grandpa at some point, right? Or grandma. Even if you die young, right? I mean, or your ancestors anyway. I think that's kind of what holds us here, right?
So interesting.
So this is interesting because it's like we feel like I just want to get out of here, but no, we want to enjoy that afterlife game too, and we want it to be a transitionary phase. And when we watch these near-death experience videos, there's people all around them. Like everybody, right when you pass away, you're like, well, sometimes it'll be like one person that takes you to the rest or whatever. It can vary a little bit, but you know, it's like this whole entourage of people that love you and that they're looking out and waiting for you and waiting to welcome you and all that good stuff, you know. Anyway.
There's always a higher being outside, and there's always more, and there's infinitely more. And it's always at a point where there's more being created. Everything has a purpose. And just because there's a matrix construct, there's a reason for everything. Every experience that was signed up for was like coded into the plan, and you will experience that. And then as you move on, there's still things coded in the plan. It also goes up and kind of phases out. There's always a higher aspect that's higher.
Even beyond the construct.
Yes. And then, interestingly, there's a point of like experiencing that, and then it's so blissful and everything. And this is many years after you passed away, and you've worked through this and that and lived out stuff you always wanted to do, seeing if you took a different path, how that would have been, and maybe hang out in some past lifetime. All this goes on and on and on and on. And then you're at this point of total blissness, and you're conscious like a dot. You're so comfortable. Everything is great, great, great.
Sounds nice.
Years go by, and then you're like, I might be kind of bored. What will I do now?
Right. But we take things so seriously, so we don't really notice that we're just having fun.
Yes, and that blissed out area,
Robert Monroe.
focus on it really hard when you're up there. It's on a loop.
Remember that?
That is from Robert Monroe's book.
Yeah.
And it's comfortable, and it's all inclusive. I mean, all senses are affected. You're comfortable, peaceful, floating there for so long. It feels so great and ecstatic, and there's love and all this. And it's almost like it's going around and around you, and then it like starts over. And then pretty soon you're like, oh, I want to go shake things up.
Shake things
Look,
up.
you just gave the thumbs up. We can't wait to leave. And then while we're here, we can't wait to get back to perfection. We're just always grass is greener on the other side.
I haven't thought about that Robert Monroe stuff forever. I'm very surprised that came out. I don't know how to
what you can tell me. You can just kind of summarize it really quickly. Just how could you summarize who Yahweh was? What was this character Yahweh? Do you have access to that information?
Yes, I think that the best way to describe it is God, but it's not an actual particular being. It's
that's kind of beautiful.
it's a breath.
I got you.
Wow.
What about Jesus? Who is Jesus?
Jesus
Can you pause a second?
is the one that came.
You know, people are like, what? Cliffhanger.
I know. No, I just wanted to say really quick something super cool that I don't know if I've shared with people or not, but My daughter's coming to stay next week with me, and she said, I found Grandpa's Bible. My dad, when he died, I got his Bible, and it's a Mandela effect, but no one else has this in their Bible. Everywhere in that Bible where it says Jesus, it says capital JE apostrophe capital SUS. And I had a knowing that it means I am. I just knew it. But anyway, it's in. I'm gonna make a small video and just show it to people because no one else's Bible has it except mine, and it was very, very impactful experience to see it. Anyway, go ahead.
It was wild. Yeah, you sent me the pictures. Jesus. Let me rewind it just a little bit.
Jesus
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
is the one that came down to earth and started trying to spread the word that we're all at now with the I am presence that he is and that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And everything got kind of twisted. But the thing is that everybody gets what they are supposed to have at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want people to focus on his death so much as he does want them to focus on his life.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
He did have a wife
It's
and
the way I
children,
say stuff. Sorry.
a girlfriend and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And people put him on this pedestal, which he never really thought that he really deserved. He just wanted people to listen to him and realize that basically that they create their own reality with their imagination.
So that was the good news, huh? That we have.
Yeah.
My
We
apologies to
have
anyone
power.
that
We have
thinks
control.
Jesus
He
didn't
was
have a
trying to
girlfriend and
send out an
kids. I'm
empowering
sorry.
message, not a message of doom, I guess.
Right, and that is why they killed him.
Yeah.
Because
Makes sense.
the people didn't want the governmentals at the time didn't want him to spread that word and the people to have any kind of power. But it's starting to come out more and people are interpreting it more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's being revealed more and it's changing more.
Mm-hmm.
Quite literally.
Very cool. So an understanding, a better understanding of really what Jesus came to teach us or show us. I have a question about what we've been seeing flying in the sky. They're calling them drones over military bases, but they don't have like propellers like what we think of when you say a drone. So do you have information on what these flying, what they're calling drones are?
So any vehicle or transportation or extraterrestrial that you encounter is traveling interdimensionally. But the technology has gotten as such that it's basically a way for the governments to maybe make people think there's an alien invasion, or some people to get excited because they think that something's coming from another country to get them and put them in fear. It's all about fear and love. And there's always going to be a technology copying the natural love and trying to cause fear. It's like the AI and the I am.
Yeah. So these drones are they're advanced technology, but it's humans
Yes.
and probably AI flying them around then, or
Yes.
okay.
And there can be experiences that seem like they are real and loving from extraterrestrials that really are being controlled by the government and kind of testing on people. But at this point, none of them are really dangerous. It's really like mind control and just kind of playing with the people's heads.
Okay, so they have alien dummies, so to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
I know nothing about that
Okay,
stuff.
so the humans have the craft, they have everything they need to look like aliens coming in and doing something. And we're told there's going to be some sort of battle soon between them in the sky. Do you see this happening too? Is that going to be real aliens or other humans fighting them?
Other humans fighting them. It's going to make people not like them, the loving ones. It just wants them scared of them because, again, it doesn't want people advancing. Just like we were talking about the Bible. The government doesn't want you, hanging out and tapping into alien stuff and
Right.
learning. They'd rather have you scared of it.
Okay, so the display we see happening in the sky between humans looking like they're aliens, are they really fighting each other or are they just putting on a show?
Put on a show.
Okay. Will real
And it's,
aliens show up in their craft at any point in this?
no, they might show up in your bedroom some night, but they're
Right.
not going to hurt you. They might appear to you, they might send messages, but
Don't be scared.
there's not even a lot of bad real aliens. Like they even say, it's all to promote fear.
Right.
All of it.
And it's us doing it like Hollywood, but in real life, all flying our
Yes,
spaceships
and
around.
that's gonna get worse and worse because people are gonna start seeing like dinosaurs alive in their yard and stuff, and
And it's
you
holograms
just
or what?
yeah, oh yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Wow.
And they're gonna like mess with certain people that are gullible to it and get scared more, and might make them go crazy. They're just testing everything.
Okay. So if a ship comes down and an alien gets off of it, it's a human pretending to be an alien and not they shouldn't be trusted then.
Unless it comes in interdimensionally, because they do have crafts, but they travel interdimensionally. They're not, and even if you got on it, it would feel physical, but you would more than likely be in your etheric body
Mhm.
as you boarded it, although it would feel physical and even more real than it does here. More than likely, you would be in your etherical body if you boarded a real extraterrestrial.
Crafts. I got you. So your body might actually be in your bed while you're up on the ship, like Debbie Solaris experienced.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, because they don't need your whole physical body. They just need your consciousness because the physical body is just your vehicle. But humans haven't
Yes.
reached that point, right?
No, but they'll probe you.
Right. So the probers are the other humans, more than likely. My
That's
lab sort of
hilarious.
thing.
And the cattle mutilators. Yes.
Okay, so this is all humans doing it. Was that just to instill fear as well?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, anything we see in the skies right now, putting on the show is just all us because the real ETs aren't going to have these lights flashing on their ship and flying over military
Oh no,
bases. So obvious.
they watching it too,
They're watching it, but they're not appearing, right?
participating in it. No, I think it's funny
They
sometimes if it's not. And it's like shaking their head.
But it seems like this is still going to work just in the long run. It's disclosure, right?
Yes, it all works together
Mm-hmm.
for the
The overall
for,
story,
for the good of everyone.
right?
Even if it doesn't seem like it,
Right.
it always working together.
So are things going to get pretty wild in the skies?
Depends on where your perspective is,
Mm-hmm.
what you're focusing on.
So what if you're wanting sort of a new Earth, but you think that's kind of exciting too? I mean, is that a contradictory intention to hold?
No, it's not. It would just no, 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 it's not.
Okay.
'Cause anything what you focus on creates, and it's very good to try to create that with your mind and intentions, because that's what you will go toward if you're doing that.
Right. So it's good to be excited and positive and
Yes,
gung ho about it.
yes. And even though that realm is okay, you know, I was talking about ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like a merging of the physical and the ethereal. It's very light and
I
Getting
just want to,
interesting.
I know, but I just want to say I don't use that word. I would say astral or spiritual, maybe. But for me, saying that over and over sounds real out of my own mouth sounds really weird.
Oh wow! I'm glad you
You can go ahead.
said that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't really use that word. Etheric.
Right. Astral. Yeah, that's typically I think what you would say. All right, I lost you, but you're back on a different
I'm back
device. Okay, here we go.
on a different
Oh,
device.
we might as well discuss what was going on there. Okay, so I thought it was interesting that everything we see in the sky is all us, make believe.
Hmm.
I mean, we've been talking about this whole, the whole fake thing for years, right? And it's finally playing out. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about it because I remember asking about 0 point, and I don't think we've talked about that yet. So here you were talking about you're just about to go into the ethereal mixing with the 3D or something. Let's see what you say here.
you know, I was talking about ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like a merging of the physical and the ethereal. It's very light and different with like the way people eat and things like that. Like it's just not necessary, but you could if you wanted to, and it's beautiful and it's coming, and everybody. There's already people that are like in that area, like kind of waiting or whatever, but it's all already coming and people are moving toward it. And then there's other people moving toward a darker type plan, but their soul agreed to that, wanted it, and that's what they're supposed to experience. So there's no need for these people to try to like
All
warn
these
these
arm
people,
movements.
like what you're doing is you need to come over here, because their soul was already programmed and coded to go through these experiences.
It's almost as simple as little kids deciding which characters they want to be, right? Well, you're going to be like
Yeah.
Radar. You're stuck being Radar, and this time around.
Yes. Yes.
Or the whole cowboys and Indians, or cops and robbers. Some of us just chose to play the dark side this time around, and it makes it more of a game, more of an experience, I guess. Even for the dark side too, right? To experience being
Yes.
the dark.
Yes. It's totally like a play or a movie.
There is a certain place where everyone sort of takes a bow, and I do look at somebody like Anthony Fauci and say, wow, you were really quite the monster in that movie,
Yes. Yes.
without any judgment or emotion attached
Yes.
to it, because from that point you see how clearly it was a role.
Oh, yes. And people that go into 5D, they can die and go there, like in their afterlife or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, people will repopulate there, even from like the physical.
Mm-hmm. Into the new
But
place.
it's not right? But it's not going to be like that noticeable. It would be like stepping in, almost like a progression that always feels like you're right where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start noticing,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, wait a minute, like I haven't heard of, say, a thing in like 5 years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's really like that.
Right. It just subtly gets
So,
better and better.
yes, yes, yes.
So I guess then this whole disclosure phase that we're about to enter into, where they're clearly already flying these drones around, which looks like advanced technology, but it's ours. Is it just best for us to just watch the show and keep our distance while this is all playing out?
Yes, because that is what's going on, and they're really trying to instill fear, and people will be afraid of it because they're not used to anything like that. Like the government coming out and being like, "Hey, there's really aliens," and then they're like scared.
Okay. So it makes sense that they're like, we don't know what these things are because they're ours. And that's just all pushing into the fear. Of course, they're not going to admit they don't know anything. It all seemed really odd to begin with because they never admit they don't know something. But all of a sudden, these things are over the military bases and they don't know what they are and they're scared, you know? So it's,
And so, what they need to do is people need to realize they don't need to fear anything at all.
mm-hmm.
They really don't. People should not be afraid of stuff like that because it's they're just trying to make people afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, you don't ascend, you stay here, like in a bad area, and give off your luge.
It is. It's like a battery,
Sorry,
like the Matrix, right? It's like you can
it's a
either
battery,
keep being
definitely.
a battery for them or you can go create your own reality.
Yes.
Wow.
It's always your choice.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
but they like people giving them their energy.
Mm-hmm.
All these
And,
hand
you know,
movements.
it runs along like currents. And
Yeah, yeah. The hand gestures are funny. Um, so, what are you thinking about all this? It's like all fake. This is what we've been waiting for. This is how. And I'll just go back to the point I said there. It was like I've been scratching my head because like when do they ever have so much activity? And they're like, we don't know what it is. We're afraid to shoot them down. I mean, you don't know about this story. So there's been these. Uh, the first report was like over Langley last December, and they said for like 2 weeks these drones were like flying over the bases, or over the base in Langley or something, and now they've shown up at 3 different bases in the UK that the Americans are at, and um, I think somewhere else like New Jersey they've been having them for a couple of weeks, and that's like ongoing. And I think there's a base there or whatever. So these are the drones I'm asking about because they look like UFOs. They don't look like drones. Some of them are the size of a small car, an SUV, even. They don't have propellers like you think of as a drone. Even our military drones have those propellers. So these are using some kind of advanced technology. So anyway, let's get back to it.
Hey, I gotta tell you
Oh,
this really quick. I had something come up in my feed today that showed I haven't seen anything on them drones. It showed this. They said a drone was attacking a helicopter that had a patient and it headed to the hospital for EMS for an emergency. I'm just saying.
it's just pumping out all sorts of fearful stuff, huh? See, I thought the next step was going to be Amazon delivering with drones, not this. But
even money, like they try to get all the money that they can. It's all about fear, control, and greediness. And they try to get, and the more that they can make people in fear, that is what causes the an energy for them, literally.
Right. And what does this energy do for them? Does it give them more creative power, energy?
Yeah, it's kind of like they can literally do magical things with it, but the point is that needs to be realized is that none of that's permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say somebody that's loving and kind is trying to manifest something or whatever, and they're sure that's what they want and their intentions are good, and it comes to fruition, all good. But over here, we're doing work with energies, and then you need more fear to keep that in place, and things will get wobbly. And like right now, there's a lot of light in the world, and a lot of this is kind of going down.
Right.
Well, depending on where your focus is, but where your focus is, where you
Mm-hmm. Us, the viewers.
are, is how it is. This is going down. That's coming in, phasing in.
So, like you said before, it all really exists here and now, but where is your attention and what part are you experiencing? Because it's
Yeah,
all available to experience.
just like she was having trouble with her mom thinking bad thoughts, and then got the fortune cookie that said attention is the mother of memory on her mother's birthday.
Wow.
To say, look, find something else to focus on next.
I think it's really weird that I could not quote that thing right now what it
Don't
said. I
focus
would get
on
it out of
those
order.
Right. Yeah, that you were able to remember it like so clearly. And of course you're like, yeah, that's what it said now, but like if you would have had to try to remember it, you wouldn't have been able to. That's cool.
Getting you upside the head. Think about other things.
Happy
Because that's
memories.
their true being.
Right. Not when they were overtaken by emotion of the game, so to
Exactly.
speak.
Yes.
So basically they're saying to focus on the good memories we have with our loved ones and not the bad memories, whether it was them yelling at you or you doing something that you're holding guilt about now after they're gone. And that's what I found, that to connect with your loved ones after they passed away. I was just telling my daughter about that because she was like, man, I'd love to connect with Jeff. And I'm like, just think of a happy memory. Whenever I want to connect with a dead loved one, I think of a happy memory, and it feels like and I feel like I'm sharing it with them. You remember that time that, and I'm like sharing this space going into this memory, and a lot of times they'll hit you back with another memory you weren't thinking of, or maybe you forgot about even, and you can really feel their presence there in that moment. So it's pretty cool that, this is kind of validating that, or it's like showing the antithesis or the opposite of that. You know what I mean? How we can actually use it against ourselves. But good stuff, Sherry. So back to the alien disclosure. We can pretty much, if we see an alien, and it's not interdimensional, it didn't just sort of appear, or that it's going to be fake. They're not just going to show up on the lawn in the ship.
Okay, this is a percentage answer, but for 90% of this, you'd know just by trying to touch it physically.
Okay. So if it's a hologram, your hand will just go right through it, or if it's a costume, it'll feel like a costume.
Yes, which is interesting because when you ethereally would board a craft and encounter beings,
Mm-hmm.
it feels very physical, very real.
Okay. That's a very good distinction. Okay.
You play
So
the
it seems like
drums.
you would be holographic, but you're not. You're actually physically experiencing, even though your physical body isn't there. But if it's a hologram, you'll have your physical body there and nothing there for the hologram. Your hand will go right through it.
Yeah.
Completely different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need
Now,
something close for the hologram to work, or can it be projected from far
Check
away?
this out.
Like,
it's it's all connected on satellites and 5G networks and Starlinks, and thing is, there's nothing really bad that's going to happen except you'd be scared and be running away and trip on the sidewalk and fall and bust your head open, but not
right.
nothing's there's no, it's just about fear and control.
So
It
is
all
this all
goes
their last ditch effort? Well, from their point of view, the higher up humans that are
late.
trying to run things, they think things are going their way when they do this, or is this like a last ditch effort for them? How do they? What's their mindset?
Yes, it's kind of moved like that because they really are feeling the heat and the pressure of like a newer realm phasing out. But then again, that's in this area of experience
Mm-hmm.
because there's another area where what they're doing is going a little better. There's multiple versions of, and we literally do slide between different ones and we'll notice different anomalies, or it's real. You switch universes, but as you get stable, stay centered, you end up being where you want to be and progressing there and not as wobbly. But sometimes things will come up. That's like the game of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you might like get kicked back a couple spaces or something. But then it could just be seconds and you could be back, or it could be days and you could be back. But there's really no time.
Right.
It's all about the experience.
So is there a sense that these people wanting to go the negative path are sort of waiting for the storm to pass, the split to complete, where they can dominate their sphere of reality once again, or is it going to be like that? Is it going to pass the split, all the weird anomalies once it happens completely?
It's gonna always be at every point of, because there could be people incarnate into each different situation. It's a personal journey for each soul.
And that would be their choice coming into it. Like, I want to go to that family that's going the lower route because I want to be a
Right.
drug kingpin boss or something.
I say
Yes.
everything so confidently.
Yes, and it's coded in, and there'll be certain things that you have to experience that are, it's pretty, the way is pretty strict. You will experience what was coded in there once you break out of it, and that's when the magic begins.
All right, so I gotta get it. We gotta chime in here. This is so much juicy information coming through at this point. What's your first impression with all this? Just it's cool to hear yourself speak with such knowledge and confidence. And is any of this familiar to you? By the way, like as you're hearing it, there's little pieces like, oh, this seems familiar. You had mentioned one thing that came up, the radar thing. Didn't you feel like maybe that came up? So I had
Yeah,
mentioned
and I think
radar, and that's kind
I
of
think
connected with this radar alien thing. So,
I felt like I think I remember something about Jesus. It's kind of like when you wake up from a dream and you remember some of it, but you lose it real quick.
uh-huh.
And what surprises me is that you'd think that when I'm hearing myself say it, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember saying that, but I don't. And it's really a very weird feeling. And I also can say this, there is no way that I could hold my arms up for those long periods like that and be able to hold them up. I'm telling you.
Do you come out of it feeling like your arms are tired, or?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't notice that. But they are really up a lot.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
weird.
yeah. A lot of people use their hands to talk. That's why doing it on videos can be could be really important for some people.
That's interesting. Okay, you can carry on if you
All
want.
right, let's go here. Okay, and I had a question that relates to that, so I'm glad you said that. Say I go back and I try to live the life. You said that it's possible. Say I wanted to go back and be Jimi Hendrix or something, right? And it's less free will because I've hopped into this already existing storyline that's being played out. But my question is, are there people that do that? They go into the Jimi Hendrix timeline. They say, I'm going to be the one that doesn't OD and die, or however he died. I don't really remember. But say somebody like actually actively tries to, I was just wondering if that could be connected with the alive again thing, right? Like someone was able to go and conquer their demons as that character.
Oh, 100%. That's what it is.
Okay. I kind of thought that.
100%. Yeah, because even though it's the most likely, like, let's just say 99.9% you're going to stay on the coded path. If you go off it and like kind of, I'll say win that round,
right,
and live again, or not die. Some people would feel like you were living again.
right,
They would experience you living again and be like, wait, I thought he died.
right. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, whenever somebody's able to successfully, live a life again and do what the,
And
conquer, right, break it, the mold.
break the norm.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Well, it's a lot funner than people think.
Yeah.
They don't think it's fun sometimes, but they like to not have fun. There are people that like misery. They do.
Yeah.
It seems not true, but it's true. They like to be upset about everything and fight with people and gossip. And
But the interesting thing, somebody like that, you can tell them they're creating that reality, but that wouldn't suit their reality to know that. They would have to be the victim, right? So
yes,
they could never see it, right?
a lot of people love being the victim.
Yeah.
They do. And there's a lot of things that play out that people experience
Mm-hmm.
that really is NPC like things, experiencing these things that these people are witnessing to get scared, to scare them in an observing type position. And like you said earlier, enjoy the show kind of, whichever way it goes, and use your imagination, your mind, and your creative forces to try to improve things in your area where you are.
Mm-hmm. Because we can move and shift independent of everyone else around us as we're shifting our perspective, right? We're not literally held back by other people.
Yes, and there is ways though that you can bring a soul with you
Mm-hmm.
that really isn't quite ready. But that's very deep, and they have a lot of trouble adjusting, and
It's not an easy
sometimes they'll
route.
get sick. No.
It's kind of like skipping a few grades in school. It would be.
And they would be kicking and screaming the whole way.
Right. How long does this?
They're not comfortable.
How long does the most intense part of the shift? How long does it take to transpire? Are we in sort of the heaviest part of the shift, or fingers crossed?
I want to say yes, but there really is no time.
Right.
There's no time.
Here we go
It's
again.
so hard. it's hard for you to experience the no time, and it's hard for us to experience time.
Right. So it's just all happening, right?
Right. It's like you can look down on top of it like it's a map, and you can see everything. Everything.
Hold on, I got to pause it here and chime in because I got to take you guys back. For those that don't know, when I was looking into the law of one, they actually explained it being sort of like this. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Okay, so in the law of one, they have this where they like teach, learn, teach. They have these like relationships, right? Like, and they'll explain in a way like, you know, when you're teaching someone something, you like learn it better, right? So even though you're teaching, you're learning, and it's like this sort of energetic reciprocal thing that's happening because you have to learn it to another level of learning to teach someone or whatever. But it's like this way. They say that we're in the time space element and they're in space time. So the way they explained it was that we're locked into time, but we can move around space freely. We're locked into time, but we can move around space. They're the opposite. They're locked into space everywhere. Like, did you just hear how you said we can just see the whole thing? So you're just locked into everything. You don't have to
That's
move over
crazy.
there. You don't have to move over there. And then the time is how you're fluctuating through things. You're moving through time. So it's, or I'm sorry, it's like the time is steady, but you're seeing the home game board, but you're seeing it without the time element. So it's like all the film smashed into layers, right? So you can look at JFK, you can look at the future. It's like all there. So when we're asking questions about like how long is this shift happening, this looks really weird from the other side. You know, they're like it's happening now. According
And
to
I
this.
just want to say, I don't know any of the Law one stuff. I've always meant to go through it, but I just haven't.
Right. It's just a little bit of a parallel there. You're not like quoting
That's
it exactly or
interesting.
anything, but it goes along with the way the space time space thing was explained, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. That you're not locked into time. You can freely move about time, but it's almost like it's all happening at one time so you can view anything. So they can see the shift happening already, you know? That's an event they can look at now, and it's not really separated by a ticking clock, so to speak, like we're used to.
It's hard for you to experience the no time, and it's hard for us to experience time.
Right. So it's just all happening, right?
Right. It's like you can look down on top of it like it's a map, and you can see everything. Everything. That's not a good analogy. When you see everything, or you can jump in and experience everything or whatever, but when you're like on earth incarnated as a human being, you really can only see what's right in front of you most of the time until you develop more skills to be able to surpass that. And that's when you have like your mediums and your people that have out of body experiences. And but imagination is always the key,
Hmm. Imagination
because
is the
that's
key.
our superpower.
Imagination.
Yes. Yep.
So is there some
It's like
truth?
creation through imaging. Creation through imaging.
Right. And that's how we do when we invent, right? We see it first and then we create it.
Yes.
It always
And
starts in
in
our imagination.
imagining, you always have higher aspects of yourself kind of helping form and mold these
Mm-hmm.
visions that you're trying to create in your mind and things. And you have a lot of help
Mm-hmm.
with
That's why
that.
these sessions work so well because we create the situation for the higher team to come through and create imagery or whatever. Yeah. It really is magical. So you're creating this connection, almost like a column of connectedness through your higher selves in that moment when you're creating in the moment. It's like you open the conduit up to your higher creative godlike mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. How's Sherry's body doing right now? She got to go to the bathroom or anything? Is she comfortable?
She's good.
I wanted to ask about, because of the way you were just explaining the way, you don't have time, the Mandela effect doesn't look strange from your point of view, does it? Things
No,
just changing, because from your perspective, that's kind of how it looks anyway, right?
that's how it works. And it's always worked like that.
Right, but we're just starting to
Just
kind of
saying.
see it, right?
Yep. Yep. And I can explain. If I wanted to take that dog and turn it yellow, I can, but I don't believe I can.
Mm-hmm. So it's your disbelief that stops it from happening.
Oh, yes, because miracles can get crazy if you really, really believe. And you and her have experienced real miracles and time bending and things shifting in real time. And that's very lucky for your souls.
I feel like it's very lucky. I feel very honored to have experienced some of this stuff. So I wonder, because let's actually talk about let me actually share one story that probably one of the coolest things. I'll rewind that a little bit. But one session you wanted to tell me something, but you wanted to tell me after the session. So you got a pen and paper, you wrote it down, and then you tossed the pen. The camera was set up like this, but you tossed the pen over in the corner. And then we go through the whole session. You wake up and something's poking you in the bed, and you pull it out, and it's the pen. The pen, you never actually got out of the bed. Like the camera never went off. So I know you didn't like get up and go get it and bring it back over or anything like that, because she literally threw it over there right before the session began. And then after the session was over, she was like laying on the pen and she was like, uncomfortable from it. So how the heck did that happen? And then I was like,
True story.
just go over to the corner. It's got to be another pen. You're like, no, this is the only one I got. I'm like, well, you just go look, because I was just completely blown away, because I saw her throw it over there. I just knew it had to be there. And she went over there. There was no pen.
That's crazy.
Right. So that would have been like one of these real time magical shifts in reality. And it was just to prove how magical it was. And those are little gifts. So as we continue on, it's come up that once you appreciate the little gifts, the little synchronicities, the little magic, they snowball and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So
To me, one of my favorite miracles with us was driving into the Mandela Effect conference on my brother's birthday that died. And that Daniel song by Elton John was saying, Daniel, you're a star in the face of the sky. And then it changed to faith right in front of our eyes. Like when we listened to it again, and now it's still like that.
yeah, it's still like that.
Because I checked again on his birthday on November 8th.
See if it switched back.
Weren't y'all at the conference again on Danny's birthday?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild, huh? Full circle. Yeah, several people asked about you too.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I just had an eventful year, but I'm tolerating it well.
All right, let's go here. I feel like it's very lucky. I feel very honored to have experienced some of this stuff. So I wonder because when we see these Mandela effects, sometimes they seem to affect like really popular things like or big events that affected people like the JFK or 9/11 or even like the Wizard of Oz that we've all seen. Um, why do we
It's
see
it
things get updated with those?
it is totally the higher realms just trying to get people to notice it. So it's going to emerge in a certain place. Like when she was seeing the Dr. Seuss change that she didn't feel anyone else saw the spelling,
Mm-hmm.
when she went to the hospital, there was an entire section of all the Dr. Seuss stuff off, and she could see the difference in the spelling of Seuss, like she'd seen with Caesar,
All right.
but no one else, a lot of other people didn't see it because it used to be in her mind Suess, and now the E and the U.
Yeah.
So there's things there to help people notice, and you know what it's for them to realize that they can change, well, that reality can change. And then soon, like the mirror on the wall, who's the greatest one of all? It's you. And you can change the things with your imagination and your mind. And it's really just calling out to you by being put in your face like that.
Wow. So there's no other deeper meaning to like the JFK details changing. It's just trying to get our attention.
Well, there is meaning in everything, but it's kind of like Albert Taylor says, if I present to you a rose, you could say, "Oh, I hate roses. They poke my fingers and hurt me when I was a child." Or you could love roses. So again, it depends on the person. There's so many, it's like a multifaceted, everything's multifaceted, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And it's unbelievable that some people just don't see it. They're just not there yet. And they're just experiencing what they're ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And anomalies and things like that would scare them, so they don't see them. There's not the higher realms of things. They don't want to beat these people up. You
Right.
know, so they might say, "Oh, I see that," and then like tomorrow they might say, "I didn't, I didn't say that. I didn't see that."
Right.
And you're baffled, and they just weren't ready yet, and they'll probably see something later.
I never say baffled.
But again, there's no time, and it's just time is great because you can use it to explain things, but
Mm-hmm.
it gets convoluted when you're trying to explain the higher realms, and not even higher realms, different realms, different energies, different, there's so many. It's just like how the Bible said that there's many mansions.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, it's the realms, and they keep inventing, and
That's from Albert
the
Taylor, I
more
think.
evolved that people get in their minds, they can. That's a lot what movies are for too, because people can see a movie and it helps them create a. Really, video game is a better example of that, because that realm actually creates,
Mm-hmm.
and a young child can literally go play their game in an astral realm now, or even when they die.
Mm-hmm.
They can play that part, and they can get totally immersive if they want. And then guess what?
Mm.
Then you really got a reality issue, because you are in a game like fighting a war that's used to scare other people into being controlled by their government or what. It's all connected, and everything is real as long as you believe it and experience it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I had two
That's
more
deep.
questions. One would be about being a somnambulist. Is that just a gift some people have, or can everybody learn to go as deep as Sherry? Just they need to find the right technique.
Yeah, it's possible for anyone to do that, but it there's like fractures that can come in people that can disassociate them, and it makes it an easier way. But that you can also do that by developmental things.
Mm-hmm.
So with her, it's more of some things happen. It made her mind disassociate, and it's easy for her to jump to a place that's just not here.
Mm-hmm. So that's why meditation's helpful for other people then, because you're sort of learning to dissociate with your physical body, right? In a way, in your
Right,
thoughts.
right.
I got you.
Yes.
This reminds me of that story we just
And
told.
that's what
Didn't we tell that story on the last one about how your grandma was hitting you and you popped out of your body and went down the street? That would be sort of the type of
Yeah.
event that would spawn something like that, I would think.
Yeah, I was watching all of that go on from the and I was really not connected to it at all. Like it was just like, look at that little girl getting beat down the street. Like, I didn't experience any of it. It's really weird. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So that led to a gift. She like beat a gift into you, I guess. Always trying to get the positive out of things, right?
she needs to do for out of body work and things.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar, but it's different, because it's like Jerry Hicks was saying, that this state is very similar to the communications with Abraham.
Right.
But that's why Esther wanted to have lunch with her in 2012, and she ran left.
Mm-hmm. We got to
Esther
tell
about
people.
I was like,
Are we gonna
exit.
Are we gonna tell people how you stood up Abraham Hicks?
I just wanted to get the hell out of there. She was wanting me to. The people told me that she wanted me to eat lunch with her, and I was just like, looked at Darwin Jeremy. I'm like, look, let's go. Let's just go. Because I don't know what was making me do that. Just you'd have thought I would want to. Even later, I was like, why did I do that? I just like bolted. But I've always bolted from stuff like this. Okay, all right.
All right. So if Esther's watching, sorry, Esther, don't take it personally.
But people can develop to that point, or they can get a lot of celebrities could do this type of work, because their minds are very fractured.
Mm.
They've been through a lot of abuse in other realms, that they basically like their consciousness taken, and the consciousness abused. And I told you, in other realms, it feels real,
Mm-hmm.
very real. It's like it's real.
Mm-hmm. A thrill or a
And it's
drill?
like a game, like a video game.
Oh, it is a thrill. It's like going in a spooky house, but they're
People
really
could just
after you, but
understand
not
that,
really.
and it's sometimes it's hard to tell if you're in a reality, or in reality that you live in, or in a different realm. And
Mm-hmm.
interestingly, this too could switch, where you were in this realm and come in here by disassociation, or by travel interdimensionally, like say a spirit or a ghost or an alien. It's really interesting. And there are highways to all this. They are connected. And that's where you get all of your portals and tunnels and what's interesting is that if you want to go somewhere through a portal, if you find one and just jump into it, it'll take you where it is that you want to go. You don't have to like find the right portal.
Oh, okay. So it's intention driven.
It's like Star Trek, and it's like a holodeck.
Right.
But you could think this is going to take me out. Oh, this is the right way. End up somewhere different. Make it a whole maze in the game on accident. Because you have to believe that's where you're going. Take notes.
You know if these drones, back to that, do they use 0 point energy? Is that how they're able to fly around for so long?
Yes, they have 0 point energy. The people on Earth don't have the higher ups utilize the 0 point energy, but they just don't. They'd rather make the money off the different kinds of
Energy.
what's the word? Yes, but there's another word. Like the commerce of there's
Just energy being a commodity like oil and gas, and
yes.
because that's like one of the biggest
That's something they
industries,
have
really,
it.
isn't it?
Yes, they have it. They have 0 point energy for them.
Right. Because they've got to be used. So it's almost like this might be the way that leaks out. Because once we find out about these drones being ours, we're going to say, "Hey, you're going to have to come out and share this free energy," because that's a game changer, isn't it? 0 point energy.
Yes, that's over here. 5D. It'll come to the
Oh,
people.
okay. So that's what's going to allow us to have pollution-free transportation and not have to cluster together in big cities, things like that.
Yeah, someday you'll be able to just teleport over for real
Mm-hmm.
instead of using airplane.
How far are we from that?
It depends on where you could get there right now if you just knew you were there.
Right.
And I know that's so frustrating.
It is. So many people caught in their own doubt, their own limitations.
Yes, 100%. That's the whole thing.
Well, a conversation I had with Sherry years ago in a session, it was said to build your faith, just focus on the small miracles and have appreciation for them, and they'll just get bigger and bigger. And I have found this to be true in my own life as well.
True.
What are some other ways to build our faith?
It's totally with seeing that you can create something and then having it happen. Like little things like when she went to the doctor and her insurance had changed and she's waiting and waiting for a new one right at the last minute because of her belief and everything. It comes through, she gets the new one. Well, guess what? The new one was not the bad one, but it was the same number as the old one. That does not happen.
Right.
They reissue a new one, a new number. Out of all the numbers in the world, they didn't put her back on her old plan.
Wow.
On purpose.
Yeah. So I guess you had an insurance issue recently, and
I did. I was an honest person, and it's like a state insurance, but whenever my husband died, I lost my insurance. And because they don't offer insurance at my work, I qualified for what they call marketplace insurance here. It's not Medicaid, but because you have to pay for it, it's through Blue Cross and stuff. And I had gotten approved and everything, and they say you have to report anything. So I got a raise, and I honestly reported it. And the girl on there was like telling me I was going to be on the same thing and everything. And the cards come in, and I go to the doctor, and it wasn't the same thing. I didn't have any co-payments or anything. It was this big old mess. And I was angelically connected to this guy that was a Blue Cross agent who got on the phone three-way with me with the marketplace, and he knew what to say to get me back on one that was just like the one I was on before. But I was scared because I had a specialist appointment, and when I went, it wasn't even showing that I had any cards or anything. And the girl was like, and I had been saying, I'm going to go in there and everything's going to just go smooth because it's far away and I don't want to have to re-go over there. And I went in and everything went smooth. And she said, if it's new, I don't understand because it's the same number as you had way back when, because everything's the same as it was the last time you've been here. It was so weird. Now I see that it was a little miracle.
Wow, that's
My
amazing.
number now is the same number that I had back before it got messed up.
That's wild. So that means that you got one more thing that you can mark up to your book of miracles to
Right?
help you build your faith for the next one. You know,
Yep. Yes.
there's something
But
strange
she
that
believes.
happens when you have a miracle happen like that, though. And over
Yeah, she
time, it.
doesn't
Go ahead.
realize that's a miracle, though. She doesn't see that that's a miracle. She thought they just put her back on that other
Right.
plan, but yeah, that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was a miracle for her.
Divine intervention.
When she walked in there, she said it was going to be smooth and go well, and she'd walk out with her prescription. And she went in there, and the receptionist said, "It's
You
already
mute
in
it.
here. It's the same number as it was before." And
Same
she
number.
just thought they gave her the same old number, but no, that's something that she created, was the smooth time going in there, because it could have really, oh God, it could have been a mess.
Oh yeah. Could have been a mess. So I almost
And
feel like what you're saying is people start too big, don't they? They're starting with their dream
right,
relationship
you
or
can't just say, okay, I'm gonna picture this Corvette in my yard, and bam, it's gonna be there.
right. You got to start
Like
with the
it
little
really,
things, build up.
right. But then it can, once you believe and it really works, you can. It's all. It's almost like,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. You can
Yeah.
get there. Everyone can get there. But you have to start small and build faith in the miracles that are happening, because they're things that does not seem doable in the reality you're in.
Mm-hmm. That's
Realizing that things are changeable, and
that's actually why I guess Cynthia Sue Larson's so good about. She shows you how to make spice up here in your cupboard. The really small things, right? So it's
right,
and once you do so many of those things, then it's not that big of a deal to unlock a locked door or generate a new car, like you said. You know.
right. And she the other day did had a small jar of mayonnaise in her fridge, and thought that she bought more mayonnaise, and then said in her mind, okay, obviously I didn't buy mayonnaise, but I'm gonna pretend that I did buy mayonnaise. No, I bought mayonnaise. It might be out in the car, but I bought mayonnaise. It wasn't in the car. And then when she opened the cabinet door, there was mayonnaise in the pantry. But she got to a place where that is like an expected thing. If
Mm-hmm.
it's expect it's expected. It's not, I hope there's mayonnaise when I open the door. It's like it's going to be in there, and it almost becomes like not a big deal.
It's good stuff here. Like where you don't even have to think about it. It's almost like, we sit in chairs all the time and never wonder if they're going to break, right? We just trust that they're going to hold us.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah, I've noticed that with parking spots. I'll forget to leave a parking spot in my mind and it'll still be there.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's almost like the higher team was like, "Oh, you've learned this lesson. Here's a spot for you." You know what I mean? Like a game.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Very cool. So that's great advice, to just try to have fun with it and build your faith and build up your manifestation abilities. And it seems like it's getting easier than it used to be. Is that part of time getting kind of wonky?
Yes, it is getting easier. Everything's speeding up. Time is speeding up, even though it's an illusion. It's going faster. And I mean, think about the last year, and you're like, it didn't seem like it was that fast long ago.
Right. I wanted to talk about that for a second and see what your opinion is on this, because like it seems like this year just flew by, right? But when I think about, I don't know, it seems like it's been forever since I got to see Daryl and Pam, which I got to see them on New Year's Eve party or whatever, right? So, like, from some aspects, it seems like it's been forever, right? But then, like, other aspects, it's like, man, that was just yesterday we were there, wasn't it? You know? So I don't know. What's your feelings with time? Have they been kind of both ways for you? Weird, both ways? Wonky?
Yeah, I think it's like a perspective thing. And, just like you gave those two examples just now, it seems like it went so fast. But then again, it seems like the last time you saw them was so long ago.
Yeah.
Just kind of depends on where you're looking
How
at
you're
that
looking
time.
at it. Yeah.
I've learned so much that perspective thing is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes time fly when you're having fun, right? That's where that whole thing comes in.
Yes, definitely.
So it kind of leads you to believe that like when you want time to go slower, you need to not have as much fun and try to balance things out. Okay, here we go.
Again, it's about perception. You can slow time down if you're running late for work.
Right. It's totally true. So we can, I guess, manifest quicker because we can actually put our intentions into the manifestation process, even speeding up.
Yes. Now you're thinking like a pro.
Awesome. Is there anything else we can do for Sherry, like a body scan or harmonize her energy, anything like that? I'll bring in optimal.
Well, personally, she's doing good mentally with the condition that's at play, and basically found a different route to take care of business or whatever, and it's an adjustment period, but it'll be fine. We all get older and things work different. Some people have to take ibuprofen every day because their joints ache. It's just kind of part of life.
Yeah.
Now, that could be changed with imagination too, but will she believe that she could do that? That would be great. That's what we should try to instill in her.
Wow. All right. Well, with the gallbladder, that's something that she can probably wait for then, right? If she wants.
You're going to find that with the ultrasound. I hate to say to her.
Well, what if she decides not to get the ultrasound for 5 years?
She's going to get the ultrasound because she has that daughter that laying down the law.
Kayla?
Yes.
Is she going to go to the
that
GI
one.
doctor too?
Yes.
Is he going to find anything that she needs to know about?
just that it's not functioning, but it's nothing bad about it. It's just kind of
Underperforming.
gave out, underperforming, and she can fix that with her mind if she believes. But if not, it's not a deadly thing now. Over time, other things could come up and mix with it and cause a problem here or there, but it would be the next natural step in what her body wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of variables
Sounds
in
like
that
Abraham.
also.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just depend on what's the next step.
Mm-hmm. What she wanted on the higher realms, really, right? So right there, they're like saying like they're the whole room. I don't tell the little girl what like you. They're not telling you the future. They're like just take the next natural step. Don't get overwhelmed. You know.
It could even mean that, I mean, like, because what's going on is that my pancreas stopped working. So, I mean, and if the next step was like death or something, I think that I'm at a point that I'm like cool with that, whichever way it goes. I just hope it's real sudden and not long and drawn out.
But that's when we get into our manifestation skills, right? We can speed things up, slow them down, have a blast while we're
Yes.
dying, and it'll be over before we know it. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back.
Right, and I do know that she is adjusting to everything mentally very well, not upset about anything, which leads me to believe that she really is where she's supposed to be,
All right.
whether the condition improves or not. But it could,
Mm-hmm.
if she believes.
I
It
just said that.
Okay, that's cool. But that's
Yep,
anybody, right? That has the power to.
anybody.
Yeah. What would be your biggest message to the world right now, if you could tell the world something?
Well, it sounds very basic to you, but it's basically to love one another, like Jesus said.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bible said, this is my commandment that we love one another, that our joy may be full.
Mm-hmm.
And good things come when one's in a joyous state of
From the
mind.
robot.
Don't have fear, and it can be so hard sometimes. Fear is the worst thing that you can have that's unproductive. You can't function in fear. You're going to bring stuff to you that's negative in fear. It's disease causing. There's so many people that stay in a state of fear all the time without even realizing it. It's just not. It's not worth it, and it's not working for the betterment of everything. But it's so hard to get away from that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of habits people have. But if you focus on the love will always win over the fear. Always.
So if you find that you're addicted to watching, I don't know, doom and gloom type spiritual videos or channelings or things that appear to be positive, or even, forensic shows about negative things, you can still find the positive and pick the fruit out of it if you want, so to speak.
Right. Definitely. That would be a good way to go about it. Or just watch more positive ones.
Right.
But all of those different things that they say are true because everything is possible.
Right.
So it's not a good idea to really focus on a lot of those negative stories and timelines, unless you're wanting to go playing one.
Right. So for the people that want the 5D beautiful, what you were just describing as the simple message to love one another, right? Because that's in simple terms, that's 5D right there, where everybody truly loves each other. You know,
Right,
a
right.
real love.
And really a lot of empathy where you understand others' feelings and do what you can to help other people have joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's true love.
Yeah, love and caring. It's all together.
Yes.
Well, I love that. So focus on the loving messages, and that's the world you want, right?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Great appreciation to you. And we're going to bring Sherry's light body back to her. That's it. What do you think?
Wow. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's weird to hear myself say stuff that I wouldn't say. I
Using
do
words you wouldn't
think,
use.
yeah, but I could, I mean, I'd say 50% of that. I feel like I maybe already knew, but not all the details. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool.
I can't believe all those hand movements and stuff. And I mean, doing something that Justin Bieber does on a poster when he was, that's so weird.
That's hilarious.
It is strange.
Was there anything you disagreed with?
I mean, I don't know. I'm getting more open minded since the Trump debacle.
All right. Yeah.
See, I didn't realize that in the session I had said that Trump would be elected again, that something bad had happened with him that day before, that nobody on earth would have thought ever that he was going to be president. And I'm sitting there saying that all confident. And I was like, man, if he does become president one day, I might believe this more, like have more faith in it. And here we are. Here we are.
And that kind of gets back to, like, they never gave us a time frame or anything, but that kind of gets back to why what you were just saying in the session, that all they saw was that he was going to be president again from that location. It's like,
Yeah.
I can just see he's president again,
And everybody on earth that would have heard that back then would have been like, no way in hell is that going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I pulled it out a few years ago and listened to it again. But guess we'll see.
So crazy.
But it's really brought up a lot of other questions about what's going on. But anyway, it's just the drone stuff I think was important to share, just so people don't run out thinking it's like the Pleiadians that showed up and stuff. We got to let this stuff play out first. And as you said in the session, and it actually jives with what chapter 23 of Dolores's book, Dolores Cannon's book, The Three Ways of Volunteers. There's chapter 23 is the best agenda for Earth. And in that, they talk about them reaching out and making contact. And they say they're going to reach out like you talked about. They're going to reach out in your dreams. They're going to reach out uh, in other signs, or it might just be an idea they give you. It's not going to be showing up in aliens getting off a ship. That violates free
Wow.
will from their point of view.
See, I never read that book either or anything.
Right.
I didn't even know that till right now.
Yeah. So there we have it. Another confirmation. It's very cool. Well, thanks for coming on here and doing this,
Yes.
and it was cool seeing your reaction to everything.
It's just so strange. It's a weird position to be in. To hear yourself say stuff that you don't, you're like, I never said that. It's
Right.
weird.
That's wild. So, do you want to do any disclaimers on the information, just so you know? Take it with a grain of salt. Sherry has no
Everything that
idea
I
what the
just
heck she
said
was.
was alleged, alleged, and should be viewed for entertainment purposes only. No, I don't know.
Right. What do you say? That was one of her things, like going into it when we would talk about it. She goes, I just don't want to say something that misleads someone, and I have no idea
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And I'm like, I totally get that. Like, but as long as the messages are loving and empowering, and it's not, telling us to go hurt people or something, I just say,
Right.
let's just go ahead and hear it out. Let's see what they have to say. And so far, the messages have always been full of great information and empowering, of course. They always have a pro-love and anti-fear message, which I like because there really is never a reason to be in fear. And like you said, it's like it creates dis-ease within your body. You know, you're kind of like resonating at this not a very good frequency, whether it's anger or unforgiveness or fear. All of those have that effect on you, you know.
Right.
All right, so I guess that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of love, light, and unity to each and
Bye,
every one of you
everybody.
guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.